All right, to continue, Thetis seeks to become wise. He's seeking wisdom. Wisdom's an interesting word. Sophie in Greek. It's feminine, as you know. It's the name Sophie is often given to females. Now, when the natural philosophers began to look into nature, the one thing that they noticed, they found no gods. There was no presence of any gods. And as I've said, the word nature, physis, it means to come about not as a result of gods or man. So it stands free from gods. Now, the problem with the natural philosophers finding a wisdom, if you will, that connotes nature, it is godless. Now, a group followed up on that called the Sophists, again the word Sophie, and they became teachers for pay. And what they were teaching basically was this nihilism of nature. Now, as a result of this, they would teach individuals to defend themselves in the courts and the public assemblies and get their way, totally free of any kind of morality or truth. So this also, they became the advisors for many tyrants, because what it did was it furthered their regime. It gave it authority, and very much of a Nietzschean ethic of the Superman ruling the maker and the breaker of tablets beyond good and evil. Now, when an interesting add-on here at the beginning of Thetis, Socrates talks to Demodocus, the father, and says, well, let's make sure that we know what we're talking about here, because he says, if I should take it to be one thing and you another, then after we've been together for a while, we will perceive ourselves laughable. I the one giving counsel and you the one being counseled, because nothing of what we're considering is the same. Now what Plato's doing here is he's hinting that there are two types of wisdom here. And Socrates is going to talk about one, and then there's also going to be another one. Now, when Socrates begins to question Thetis about his education, he asks him if his father has not educated him in the ways of the sons of other gentlemen. And that would be in letters, cithara playing, and wrestling. Now, the word gentleman is very important. The gentlemen were seen as the ones who were going to take charge of the political situation and sort of run the ship of state. Now, in my little diagram here, I call this Plato's Sphinx. What he does, he subdivides human beings as well as societies into three groups. Those that are concerned with the body, those concerned with the soul, and here we mean psyche, not the Christian idea, but the will, so to speak, and then those of the mind. Now notice that the education that the sons of gentlemen get, letters, the mind, music, the soul, and wrestling, the body. Now, the word kelos kegetos, which is gentleman, and is usually translated as the noble. But there's two parts that are very interesting. Agathos is the good, and kalos is derived from kalon, the beautiful. So somehow this individual is made up of the two parts, of the good and the beautiful. Now, it's interesting that Plato writes the Republic early on, his subject is the good. And then when he does the Symposium later on, his subject is the beautiful. So there's a combining of the two here. The gentleman is not only the good, which could be seen as the subject of a body, useful, but he has the soul, beauty. Beauty deals with the soul. Now, an interesting aspect of the names that are being used in this dialogue. Thejas can be translated one of two ways: honoring God or envying God. Now it's important, at least with dealing with Thejas, the issue of God is there. So the wisdom that he seeks has God in it. It's not, it begins with the premise of God. So it's not about nature. It's about something else. Now, his father's name, Demodocus, is interesting too. Demo is an organization, a group brought together of people with a common idea. And Docus means seems. It seems. Now, with Persephone, the myth, when she was taken into the underworld and her mother was looking for her, her mother came upon a nymph, a wood nymph in the nature, and she asked her if she had any information about where Persephone was. And the nymph answers, "I did not see, but I did hear." So something has changed here. Seeing is believing. This is the state of nature. But now we brought in hearing. So we're hearing something that we don't necessarily see. It involves belief or seeming. So we now have the world of seeming and the world of nature. And Socrates is going to introduce one idea of wisdom, that coming from nature, and also Plato will show Thejas' seeming world. Now he does this in a very interesting place. Socrates is questioning Thejas, and he says, well, the wisdom you seek, is it like the wisdom of the pilot of ships? Or is it like the wisdom of the pilot of a chariot? Now, a ship at the time is a group of men working together to propel this boat to a destination. And often it's not. The sails are provided, the wind is provided by God. So as men under God working together to get to a destination. A chariot, however, is the exact opposite. It is a domesticated beast being led by one man completely without any free will. And it's going in a circle, so it's going nowhere. Now this is the tyrant. So Socrates talks about a wisdom that leads from the ship of state to the tyrant. Now, Demodocus, or Thejas, answers with the word wisdom in this little, at the end of this little list. And then Socrates does something, he reverses it. So he now talks about the chariot pilot, and then the boat pilot. And after that, Thejas answers with the word, well, it seems. So what we've done is we've gone through the world of nature, through the wisdom of nature, to the wisdom of the world that seems. And now we will continue with something else.